All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Governor Katie Hobbs, and as I've met with leaders across the state, including here in Sierra Vista, I've made it clear that I'm the governor for all Arizonans, not just Maricopa County. So much of what makes our state strong is in our rural communities, and you deserve adequate support. I've made it a focus of my administration to build an Arizona for everyone, where people from every corner of our state are safe and have the opportunity to succeed. As I've traveled the state, I've seen a common thread of issues. Our rural communities have been strained and are frequently expected to perform tasks without being provided the necessary tools. And that's why I'm here today to highlight critical funding from the state of Arizona that will help keep people safe, create jobs, and ensure that Cochise County can thrive in the economy of the future. Using previously appropriated money from the border security funds, we are awarding over $41 million to county and local law enforcement. Specifically on the border, every single city deals with the residual effects of thousands of migrants that come through every day. Last time I visited here, I heard from staff at Cochise Community College about having to deal with migrants crossing through campus, but not having the capacity to do so properly. I want to be clear. This community has done the best job that you can with what you've been given, something that I've come to learn that our rural communities are very good at. But we need to do better for you and for our entire state. That's why these funds will be used to support the Southern Arizona Region Enforcement Team, which has been, Southern Arizona Border Region Enforcement Team, which has been instrumental in the collective efforts to stop drug trafficking and other criminal activities that are tied to the border. One of the biggest tools that these officers rely on, and one of the greatest strengths we have, is technology. Things like cameras, radars, and communication devices allow officers to identify possible criminal activity before it gets here and communicate with other units across the border. This funding will ensure that our officers have the best tools available to them. But it's not just enough to keep Cochise County safe. My administration is dedicated to ensuring that every corner of Arizona benefits from our booming economy. To do that, I'm proud that we have awarded $8 million to expand access to broadband in Cochise County. My administration has made it a top priority to break ground and move forward with these critical projects. In today's world, connectivity is everything, and so much of what cities like Sierra Vista do wouldn't be possible without reliable internet services. And we'll continue to have conversations with local leaders like those here today to ensure that these awards are distributed equitably across the state. Sheriff Dannels, I want to express my gratitude to you and your officers for your leadership and work on this issue. I understand the challenges that you face every day, and I see each of you for the dedicated public servants that you are. Supervisor English, your partnership has been critical to getting this funding through the door, and I know that you and Sheriff Dannels have worked closely together to support your communities. President Rottweiler, thank you for hosting us today. I know that you and your staff have experienced a unique set of challenges that you didn't necessarily sign up for. Thank you for stepping up and for continuing to be a reliable partner in this work. I want to emphasize that it is a priority for my staff and I to ensure that funds like the ones announced today are tailored to the needs of each community and not about political stunts. I will continue to work every day to create a safe Arizona for everyone. Thank you, and with that, I will turn it over to Sheriff Dannels.
Thank you, Governor. Well, good morning, everyone. On behalf of my fellow police chiefs here today, all our officers, deputies, and troopers and agents, your Cochise County public safety family, and the citizens of Cochise County, I want to personally take this opportunity and thank you, Governor Hobbs, for being here. Your second visit, actually. Governor, today your attendance reflects the continued partnership between community and the state of Arizona. A few months ago, you came to Cochise County and you listened to local law enforcement, community leaders, and today your action-driven support is well received, supported by solutions to help relieve some of the public safety challenges that we face every day. As elected officials, we accept the people's oath to safeguard our communities and state as we work collectively to prevent, partner, and protect our citizens as community servants and leaders, the true definition of community policing as government officials. On behalf of the Arizona Sheriffs, I want to extend my appreciation, Governor, for being a vital partner and a true friend. This combination of leadership unites the good of our communities and promotes quality of life and the rule of law for all Arizonians. Sadly, our southern border continues to be exploited by these criminal cartels that strive off fear, violence, and greed, absent humanity, public safety, and national security. Together, we can make a positive difference with a shared mission of humanitarian, public safety, and national security. Once again, we are the layer of protection for those in harm's way. Extending our Arizona National Guard, Governor, is essential to our local and statewide mission, and for that, we share appreciation to you for doing that. In a little over 5 months, Cochise County continues to experience high incarceration of state border crimes from misdemeanor to felony offenses. To date, the cost has been over $1.3 million over the last 5 months. Over the last 18 months, in Cochise County, the cost was $5.6 million total. Thanks to the state of Arizona and the leadership by our governors, both Governor Ducey and Governor Hobbs, they assist us with this expense. It is no secret that fentanyl and other illicit drugs are flowing across our southern border, and sadly, Arizona leads the nation in fentanyl seizures. I commend my law enforcement colleagues for this effort, but what frightens me is what gets away. Using Arizona HIDTA statistics, in 2022, over 68 million fentanyl pills were seized in Arizona. In 2023, just under 9 months, over 41 million fentanyl pills were seized. This epidemic is killing, poisoning approximately 300 Americans every day. These deaths negatively impact our communities, our neighbors, our friends, and sadly, our loved ones. Once again, we must work together at all levels of government, as our southern border is not just Arizona's challenge, but America's challenge. Governor, thank you again for sharing our vision with your team, your state, and together we can provide hope to those in need. Thank you, everybody. I'd like to introduce Ms. Annie English, Cochise County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. I just want to say that we are blessed to have a governor that listened when she was elected, and I said, we need you to be an advocate for us. We need the governor's office to speak with us and for us to the federal government. Being a border community, we can't speak loud enough by ourselves, and she stepped up immediately to do that. So today we're here honoring the fact that she's putting money and resources to two things that are very important to Cochise County. One is safety and security. The other one is communication. People want to be able to communicate with each other, with their doctors, with their children, with their schools. And so both things are being honored today with dollars, and the governor is here to help us. And we can't say thank you enough, because now we feel like we're being heard.
Thank you, Governor. My name is J.D. Rottweiler, and I'm the president of Cochise College, and we're extremely proud to partner with the Governor's Office, with the Arizona Commerce Authority, our partners with the City of Douglas, as well as Cox Communication, and receive the $8.2 million grant to initiate a broadband initiative in rural Cochise County. When Cochise College opened its doors in 1964 on its Douglas campus, what was needed in order to hold a residential campus was electricity, drinking water, sewer, and phones. Fast forward to 2023, you now have to have broadband. As a matter of fact, we no longer really need phones because most things are done over voice over IP. We have a 550-acre campus halfway between Bisbee and Douglas that has had no broadband. We've operated a rural community college, state-of-the-art community college, utilizing T1 lines and also microwave systems. This fiber initiative will allow us to have high-speed internet to our campus, which will be instrumental as we welcome in the new port of entry and all of the economic growth and all of the opportunities for new education that this will provide. And so, Governor, we're incredibly appreciative of this support, and we look forward to working together collectively to take that broadband initiative not only to the college campus, but all across rural Arizona. Thank you.
Well, I'll open up for questions. I want to try to get to everyone. If we could just be respectful of each other's questions, I can hang on over here. And if you have a question for someone specific, try to address it each time.
Governor, can you elaborate on how the border money is going to be used? And to make it available, did you have to step away from some other uses, some other ways it was used in the past?
This was already appropriated border security funds, or it was already in the budget. And so that's where the fund's coming from. I'm going to let the sheriff go into more detail about the specific uses of that.
Thank you, Governor. So here in Cochise County, we have a very special relationship, both local, state, and federal, for law enforcement. We just signed on a building thanks to the state of Arizona, which will be first of its kind border operations center, regional for both human trafficking, human smuggling, and any kind of crime associated to the border. That's going to be networked throughout Arizona and beyond to other states, so we can identify those cartel members working within the United States and continue to address our criminal cartels south of the border to make our county safe, state of Arizona safe, and also our country, because our border in Cochise County is not just our border, it's America's border. So we want to make sure we're collective on that. So the funding covers incarceration costs, it covers which is a continued program that we have with the state. It covers personnel costs. It costs special equipment for my police chiefs behind me. It also brings us together when we go out on what we call safe street operations, that we work united, all of us. None of us could do it alone. And that goes to our federal partners in Border Patrol and our troopers. We all go out together to make that difference for our communities that we all serve. This is our community too. It's our home. Did I answer that question, Craig?
Yes.
Thank you.
J.D. Wallace with Channel 13. I think, a question I have for the sheriff, and maybe also for the governor, sorry, is just, it was only 6 weeks ago that Republican Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was here criticizing the way the border is enforced. We have this money coming now, and we have Republicans and Democrats. So what does that say about the need to work on this problem along the border and work across those lines?
Well, if we're true to ourselves, Governor Hobbs and law enforcement here, all together, we're true to what we need to do. We have to work together absent politics. Let me just say that. When Governor DeSantis here, he wasn't criticizing the law enforcement efforts or the efforts of our state. He was criticizing the policies and the prioritization of Washington, D.C. I sat through that brief. I sat through his comments on that. So collectively, we need to work with Florida. We need to work with Ohio, California, all the different states, because it's not just our problem. Because if we can unite in this country when it comes to us to wear a badge, and all elected leaders, local, state, and federal, to include Congress, that question would be a good question for Congress, J.D., we can make a difference. But until we prioritize it and have the will to do it, right now the cartels are killing Americans every day, and we got to stop that right now. And I'll say this, we have an obligation, whether they're legally in the country or illegally in the country, to protect them too. And what I'm seeing, these migrants being smuggled and trafficked by these criminal cartels, is pathetic. That's humanitarian at its worst. We got to do a better job. So.
Jose Ignacio Castañeda with the Arizona Republic. This is also a question for the sheriff.
Sorry, Governor.
More for the governor, just kind of in the weeds a little bit with how the money's going to be spent. Is any of that money going to be spent toward the high-speed chases that have been going on in Cochise County, or the migrants crossing through the campus?
We do. We've already been working with the president of Cochise College for last year. This is not something new for Governor Hobbs. The partnership and continual efforts, her being here in the last couple months twice, sends a position to all of us here. She cares, and that's most important. It's not the knowledge we have, it's the care that we share. So we also just got a helicopter for Cochise County. It'll be a regional helicopter. It's a $9 million award to Cochise County that will help us alleviate the pursuit. We can get a helicopter overboard, lessen that, and it takes us to a final destination. It's safe for the citizen, it's safe for law enforcement, and hopefully we can bring a safe conclusion to that. So many, when it comes to equipment, I could talk all day on that, I won't, but the bottom line is the equipment we're receiving is all about interdiction, it's all about education, and it's all about prevention. If we can look at those three objectives, we can make that difference. And that's thanks to Governor Hobbs, thanks to her team, who have been awesome to work with. Also, we can continue doing what we're doing in this state, and that's to protect everybody in this room and beyond, and your families.
Any other?
This maybe is for the governor. As far as, you mentioned you're not just the governor for Maricopa County. Over the past 10, 15 years, we've seen our rural communities struggle. Our hospitals start to struggle for staff. We talk about the need for a greater communication and interconnectivity. Is this just the beginning of something for our rural communities as far as infrastructure and some sort of reinvestment? Because I know that while we've seen Tucson on Phoenix starts, really benefit from the turnaround of the economy, Cochise County has sometimes even seen negative growth at times where the others are taking off.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm focused on making sure that we are capitalizing on the opportunities in front of us right now with this historic, once-in-a-generation investment from the federal government to improve our infrastructure, grow our economy, and bring broadband across the state. Because all of those things are interdependent. If there's not the infrastructure, if there's not the broadband, the economic development is not going to happen. I got to the legislature in 2011, and we were talking then about the need to connect the state with reliable internet access, and we still don't have that. The nearly $1 billion that we're being awarded from the federal government for broadband will get us almost there. And so we're going to make sure that those opportunities are distributed equitably across the state, especially in rural Arizona that often gets left behind. And that's a huge focus of my administration.
Hi there, Governor Hobbs. My name is Summer Hong. I'm a reporter with Arizona Public Media. My question for you relates to the funding that the state has delegated to Cochise County. Is this a one-time investment, or is this going to be a continuous investment?
So it's dependent on the funding of the Border Security Fund, which is something that will continue to be a priority for my administration. Obviously, we have to work with the legislature and with potentially reduced funding in the next budget cycle. But we're going to do what we can to make sure that we're continuing to do what we can to keep Arizonans safe. And I just want to mention, because a couple of you asked about the specific uses, and if you don't already have a breakdown of how that funding is being distributed, the $40 million I mentioned, we'll make sure that you have that, because it's not just Cochise County, but the jurisdictions as well. So.
Thank you. Hang on.
There's often the complaint that the legislature is very urban-centric, very Maricopa-centric.
Yes.
How do you shepherd resources for rural areas through that environment and get it successfully in the budget?
The budget exercise is interesting and different and unique every single year. You saw this year, us be able to put the partisan politics aside and pass a budget that invested hugely in infrastructure across the state. I don't think a lot of people expected that. I don't think people expected us to get the budget done, the bipartisan budget that had a supermajority of votes in both chambers as early as we did. That's the way that we're going to continue to work in our budget approach to make sure that we're building in Arizona for everyone and investing across the state.
We'll do the last call, and then we'll call it. Everyone good? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.